The miracles you read about in ancient texts were never miracles. They were technology, deliberately hidden for thousands of years. And the people who built it never let anyone else touch it. 1. The illusion of the gods. 1300 BC, Ramesses the Great steps onto the palace balcony. Below him, an entire empire. Above him, the Egyptian sun burning everything alive. He doesn't need more soldiers. He doesn't need more gold. He needs one thing: fear. And to manufacture that fear, they didn't need the gods to show up. They just needed engineering. In the Temple of Ptah at Memphis, priests operated hidden mechanisms behind the walls. Steam pressure forced doors open without human hands. Hydraulic systems made offering bowls fill themselves with water. Bronze cables hidden inside the walls raised the arms of stone gods on command. The congregation standing outside never saw the machinery. They only saw the miracle. Hero of Alexandria documented pneumatic devices, steam-driven machines, and automatic doors in the 1st century AD. These weren't inventions, they were refinements of technology that had existed for centuries. The same technology the priests kept locked in temple basements, away from the farmers, away from the soldiers, away from anyone who might ask questions. When a pharaoh died, his engineers were executed. When a dynasty fell, its technical manuals were burned. When a temple was closed, the mechanisms were buried under the floors. Ancient super technology was never lost. It was erased, systematically, by the very people who created it. Because for the pharaoh, the priest, the emperor, knowledge was never meant to be shared. Knowledge was the ultimate weapon, the weapon that turned men into gods. In the next 10 minutes, we break every single one of those weapons open. 2. The 100-ton terror machine, the Serapeum. 25 coffins, each one carved from a single block of black granite. Each one weighs 100 tons. The lid alone, 30 tons. Surface tolerance, 0.002 of an inch. Finer than the glass on your smartphone screen. Achieved with stone tools in 1300 BC. The underground chambers run for 350 meters beneath the desert at Saqqara. The tunnels are barely wide enough to walk through. The ceilings are low, and somehow, through these narrow corridors, 100-ton boxes of black granite were delivered to their final positions with millimeter precision. Engineers today cannot agree on how it was done. The weight distribution alone should have collapsed the tunnels. The turning radius required to navigate the corners is mathematically impossible with known ancient technology. And yet, there they sit, 25 of them, perfectly placed. For 200 years, Egyptologists called this a bull cemetery, the sacred resting place of the Apis bulls. There's one problem. No bodies were ever found inside. No DNA, no bone fragments, no embalming residue, nothing. The sarcophagi are pristine inside, polished to the same impossible flatness as the exterior. A bull cemetery does not require 100-ton boxes. A bull cemetery does not require mirror-flat surfaces that modern CNC machines struggle to replicate. Now, think about the political landscape of ancient Egypt. Think about the provincial governors, the military commanders, the tribal leaders who might dream of revolt. Now think about what it meant when the royal engineers announced they had moved mountains underground. Not symbolically, literally. Now think about the message this sent. If a rebel leader in the provinces was considering an uprising, the Serapeum told him everything he needed to know. We can move mountains underground. You have no chance. To own the sky. 3. The Antikythera Mechanism. In 1901, divers pulled a lump of corroded bronze from a Roman shipwreck, the size of a shoebox, the weight of a brick. It sat in a museum drawer for decades. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody cared. Then someone X-rayed it. Inside, 37 interlocking bronze gears, a differential gear system, not reinvented in Europe for another 1400 years. Modern micro-CT scanning in 2006 revealed over 3,500 characters of Greek text inscribed on the surface, an instruction manual cast in bronze built into the device. It tracked the sun, the moon, 5 planets, and eclipse cycles with accuracy modern watchmakers call unsettling. It could predict where Mars would be in the sky on any given date centuries into the future. The gear tolerances required either optical magnification or manufacturing techniques we have not yet identified, because we don't have a single other example of this technology from the ancient world. One was made, one exists, one survived. Now, imagine being the only person on Earth that owns this machine. You are a king, a general, a high priest. Your astronomers have used it in secret for years. You know exactly when the next solar eclipse will occur. The date, the time, the duration. You walk onto your balcony, you look at 10,000 soldiers, and you say, "Tomorrow, I will make the sun disappear, to prove the gods stand with me." And the next morning, it happens, exact to the minute. The sky goes dark, the stars appear at noon, the temperature drops. 10,000 soldiers drop to their knees, because the Antikythera Mechanism can predict eclipse cycles using the Saros series, accurate to within hours. Historians confirm this method was used in the ancient world to legitimize authority. Christopher Columbus used it in Jamaica in 1504 to terrify the Arawak people into feeding his crew. He had an almanac. He knew the eclipse was coming. They didn't. The tactic is 2,000 years older than Columbus. This device wasn't a scientific instrument. It was a weapon of psychological domination. The man who held the Antikythera Mechanism held humanity's fear of the cosmos in his hands, which is exactly why it was never mass-produced and why only one was ever found. Power from light, the Lycurgus Cup. 1st century AD, a dinner party in Rome. Not just any dinner party, the kind where your host decides who lives and who doesn't. The room smells of garum and burning olive oil. Senators recline on marble couches. Slaves pour wine without making eye contact. And at the center of the table, a single cup, jade green. The host lifts it, walks to the lamp, holds it up to the flame. The cup changes color. Green in ambient light, red when light passes through it from behind. Not a trick of the eye, not a coating, not paint. The color change is caused by what's inside the glass itself. British Museum analysis, 1990s. Gold nanoparticles, silver nanoparticles, 50 nanometers in diameter. Suspended with such precision that modern nanotechnologists called it ahead of its time. The glass responds to light by activating different plasmonic resonances in the metal particles. This is physics, quantum-level physics, not craft. The Romans did not stumble into this accidentally. It required knowing which metals, in which ratios, at what particle size, suspended in what matrix. The error margin for achieving this effect accidentally is effectively 0. This was intentional, and it was never used to light a room or cure a disease. It was not sold in markets. It was not gifted to generals. It was not displayed in temples. It was used at dinner parties to make one man glow like a god and remind everyone else at the table that they were not. The dinner table in Rome was not a place of relaxation. It was a theater of power. Seating position communicated status, food portions signaled rank, and objects
are your relationship to the divine. When the torchlight passed through that cup, the blood of Dionysus appeared to flow. The line between the divine and the mortal was drawn right there, on a dinner table, in front of senators, in front of generals, in front of men who could order armies, and everyone in the room knew which side they were on. 5. The shock of the gods, the Baghdad Battery. In 1936, a German archaeologist named Wilhelm König opened a clay jar found outside Baghdad. Inside, a copper cylinder, an iron rod, sealed with asphalt. He filled it with grape juice and measured a charge of approximately 1 volt. Dating, Parthian period, between 250 BC and 224 AD. Standard historical position, used for electroplating gold onto silver jewelry. There is evidence for this. Electroplated objects from the Parthian period exist. That's one interpretation. Here's another. The voltage from a single Baghdad battery is small, less than a flashlight, but chain 15 of them in series. The voltage multiplies. Wire them through bronze cables. Insulate the connections with natural bitumen. Run the cables through the walls of a stone building and terminate them at the hands of a large bronze statue in a darkened room. Imagine a Parthian temple, incense smoke, low torchlight, a statue of the god standing in the far corner, a chain of 15 batteries wired in series, connected through bronze cables to the fingertips of the temple's statue, a guard at the door, a priest in the shadows, and a non-believer dares to reach out and touch the god. The wrath of the god. Immediate, invisible, irresistible. The man crumbles. His arm goes numb. He staggers backward. No fire, no blood, no wound he can point to, just the invisible force of the divine. The crowd outside doesn't need an explanation. They saw a man touch a god and get struck down. That story will travel further than any army. It will reach the next village by nightfall and the capital within a week. The priests never touch the statue themselves, of course. They know which section of the floor to avoid. Knowledge, again, as power. Electricity as religion. Not invented in 1752, monopolized in 250 BC. 6. The threat of the Sabu Disc, suppressing progress. This artifact is 5,000 years old, found in the tomb of Prince Sabu, 3rd Dynasty Egypt. Archaeologists cataloged it as a decorative bowl, 61 centimeters across, carved from meta siltstone. 3 lobed projections bent inward, each one curving in the same direction. Engineers who saw it had a different reaction. The shape matches a centrifugal pump impeller, designed to move fluid by spinning, aerodynamically optimized to reduce drag while maximizing flow. In 3000 BC, the manufacturing precision required to achieve this shape in stone without metal tools is not currently explainable. Decorative bowls don't need fluid dynamics optimization. If this device was what engineers think it was, the Egyptians had mechanical fluid pumps millennia before Rome, capable of moving water through channels automatically, capable of irrigating fields without human labor, capable of freeing millions of people from the most exhausting task in the ancient agricultural world. So why, if they had this technology, were millions of people still hauling water by hand? Because automation is the enemy of slavery. A civilization that can pump its own water doesn't need a permanent underclass of laborers. A civilization that doesn't need laborers loses its primary mechanism of social control. A population exhausted by physical labor has no energy to think, no energy to organize, no energy to revolt. The pharaoh's greatest security system wasn't his army. It was the daily exhaustion of everyone beneath him. Inventions like the Sabu Disc weren't accidental. They were confiscated, buried with high-ranking officials, removed from circulation to keep the status quo exactly where the rulers needed it. The most dangerous technology in ancient Egypt wasn't a weapon, it was a water pump, because free time is the beginning of freedom. 7. The first emperor's immortal weapon. In 1974, Chinese farmers digging a well near Xi'an found something buried 1.5 meters underground, a terracotta head, life-size, painted. They kept digging. They found an army. 2,200 years in the ground, 8,000 terracotta soldiers, horses, and chariots arranged in battle formation across 3 pits, and with them 40,000 bronze swords, spears, and crossbow triggers, none of them rusted. A weapons conservator examined the blades under a scanning electron microscope in the 1990s. The surface chemistry was unusual. Chromium oxide, a thin, even layer over the entire bronze surface. Chromium coating, an oxidation-resistant surface treatment that prevents corrosion by forming a self-repairing barrier when exposed to air. Europe wouldn't patent this process until 1937. The same technology we use today to protect surgical instruments, aircraft components, and high-performance engine parts. In ancient China, 221 BC, Qin Shi Huang's armory held a technology no rival nation possessed. Not Rome, not Persia, not India. Nobody.
The Qin Empire was built on military superiority, not just in numbers, in materials. Their crossbows used standardized, interchangeable parts, a manufacturing principle Europe wouldn't adopt for another 2,000 years. Every technological advantage was classified. Every craftsman who knew the formulas was watched, and the emperor intended to keep it that way. When the tomb complex was completed, the craftsmen who created these weapons were sealed inside, alive. The architects of the tomb, the engineers of the weapons, the metallurgists who perfected the chromium process, all of them went in, did not come out. The Shiji, China's official historical record, documents this explicitly. It was not accidental. It was policy. The military secret died with the people who knew it. The emperor got exactly what he wanted, a monopoly on invincibility in this life and the next. 8. The Monopolist's curse. Here is what the last 10 minutes have shown you. Not one story of forgotten genius. Not one story of technology lost to floods or fires or bad luck. 8 separate cases, 8 separate civilizations, 8 separate technologies, all of them sharing one feature: deliberate suppression by those who held the knowledge. For thousands of years, humanity did not forget to think. It was prevented from thinking. The great libraries were burned, not by accidents, by orders. The engineers were killed, not by plagues, by policy. The technologies were buried, not by neglect, by design. And when the elites fell, they took everything with them. The result, humanity was pushed back 1,000 years into the Dark Ages, not by plague, not by war, by the deliberate destruction of knowledge by those who held it. The Dark Ages were not an accident of history. They were the invoice for 3,000 years of knowledge monopoly finally coming due. When the last Roman engineers died without heirs, the aqueducts stopped working. When the last Alexandrian scholars were killed, the astronomical knowledge they held disappeared for centuries. When the last Qin metallurgists were sealed in the tomb, the chromium process vanished for 2 millennia. Knowledge is fragile when it lives only in the minds of people someone powerful once dead. Now, look around. How many Sabu Discs are sitting in corporate laboratories right now, locked behind patent walls, buried in classified defense contracts, because the technology would make something too cheap or make someone too powerful to control? How many Antikythera mechanisms are in someone's private vault right now, giving one group the ability to predict what the rest of us can't see coming? The tools have changed. The strategy hasn't. The Serapeum told rebels, "You have no chance." The Baghdad Battery told worshippers, "The gods are real." The Lycurgus Cup told senators, "You are not divine." The patent office tells inventors, "This belongs to us now." The classification system tells researchers, "You don't have clearance." Different centuries, different empires, identical strategy. The only defense against being the common people in someone else's system is knowing the system exists. If that idea matters to you, subscribe, because next time we open the classified files on something you're not supposed to know about.